right,
there he is,
yeah. So let me close out of this first.
Great. So I believe his opponent is on mono red, is what we decided?
Yes, yes.
How do we think Zan fares against mono red? We actually talked about this directly.
Yeah, I think that Zan has hurt his mono red matchup by replacing sort of normal elements of... Here, let me get us on stream.
Yeah, because we are off to the races.
There we go. Let's adjust that to watch to look at the top 8. Yeah, okay, so Zan wins the die roll, or I don't even know if we did.
He did win the die roll because he has a temple untapped.
Right, but did we do die rolls or did we do seeded?
It is seeding. Zan is at the 3rd seed.
Yeah, so he should be
He is first. Okay, he went. Well, yeah, he elected to go first.
But winning the die roll / electing to go first is pretty important in this matchup,
especially against mono red. Right.
We see he's got this Bone Crusher Giant in hand, which is also extremely important. He's not going to spend it on the Scorched Spitter because whatever the 2-drop is going to be scarier. Probably will spend it on this Robber of the Rich, but if it were a Steamkin, it would be particularly important to kill it here.
Right. Yeah, I mean, any 2-drop, actually, I mean, honestly, the worst for Zan would have been double 1-drop, I think is the most common, because Zan doesn't have a lot of sweepers main deck, right? He has no sweepers main deck, actually.
Sweepers, yeah.
And so, yeah, that would have been worse.
And it is less likely to happen. These red decks often have only 8. Oh, you know what? I should get this list up there. Why don't you narrate for a minute while I
absolutely So
get this card.
I mean, we see a perfect 1-2-3 curve from is it Matthias? Is that our opponent?
Yes.
Yeah. And so, I mean, honestly, it doesn't seem Zan is doing everything he wants to do. I'm not sure if he's going to go for Uro.
I believe he's going to want to get this Wilderness Reclamation into
It's more mana efficient for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, he is going to pull ahead. I mean, he can gain the 3 life anyway, so he's not in any danger of dying next turn. But I mean, the threat of Embercleave is always really scary. There could be an Embercleave next turn.
And that's why Zan wants to prioritize being able to start casting some removal spells, keep the number of creatures low so that even if the opponent does manage to Embercleave, we can require Matthias to use his entire turn.
Right. And so, so Zan does play Wilderness Reclamation.
And keeping mana up here also discourages Matthias from, committing.
Well, notably, again, Zan can't cast a Frilled Mystic.
True.
So I think... I mean, he does that, but he does a Brazen Borrower, so he can, he can hide...
A Brazen Borrower.
Bluff the Borrowers.
Yep.
We'll see. But I do think this is a scary matchup for Zan. I mean, he relies a lot on his sideboard in this matchup. Traditionally, maybe not. You don't want to be flash against the mono red decks, I would argue.
Right, and taking out sweepers and opt, and not Chemist's Insight. That's not the card that we lost that we're really broken up about.
Not really.
But certainly taking out sweepers and sort of just even the draw fixing of opt in favor of some flash creatures that are not. I mean, Nightpack Ambusher can do work.
Right. Yep, so now stomping Zan's Bone Crusher to sort of get it out of the way. And importantly, replacing it with a Satyr. Let's see. Yeah, I think Zan was sort of hoping to find some way to interact here. I mean, we haven't seen this. Actually, we haven't seen this all day, right? We haven't seen any mono red decks.
No, we have not seen a single mono red.
Mostly fires, I feel.
Yeah. Well, and fires tends to push out the mono red decks to a pretty reasonable extent.
All right, and as always, Zan draws the Field Mystic. Yeah, but this Uro is going to be quite good. I mean, that is one thing where Zan adding Uros to his deck was extremely relevant.
Yeah, and Uro is generally a part of the Temur Reclamation decks.
Right, yeah, that's not unusual at all.
Right, and it does do a huge job. The Temur Reclamation deck, once you have Storm's Wrath and Uro in the main deck, actually is not really behind against the mono.
Right, yeah, and Zan doesn't look super far behind. It's just certainly scary, at any point his opponent could take a huge chunk out of Zan's life total.
Yes.
I mean, he had everything he wanted. But Zan had the key interaction to sort of stay alive. Let's see here. But yeah, Zan's starting to run a little bit low on cards. We can't see his graveyard, but I don't think he has quite enough to play Uro yet.
He is a little low on cards, but that's going to change when he resolves this explosion.
Right. And so, I mean, Zan is actually at a very healthy 16, and I believe we are at least on turn 5.
Right, we are looking okay here. The threat is the Ember Cleave, and this is one of the scary things when they play the Fervent Champion out. Like, you know, that's effectively free if this is an Ember Cleave turn. However, Frilled Mystic here lets Zan cover that Ember Cleave. Looks like no Ember Cleave. We are taking a chunk.
Yeah, still taking 7, it looks like.
Yep. And Zan really can't afford to cast this explosion because of the threat of Ember Cleave.
Right. I mean, he could do a little, a smaller one next turn for possibly 3. But yeah, this is where he really suffers without a sweeper.
Now he does get to cast the explosion.
Right, in response, yeah.
Well, not necessarily I mean, sure.
Well, what I mean is, like, his opponent's tapped out now.
Right.
May as well do it now.
And there's, it's just he can't do it before combat damage happens to kill a creature because he leaves himself alone.
The window for Ember Cleave is closed.
So he's going to kill this Annex, which reduces the power on the board by a bit, but Annex does get to create 2 Satyrs here, and the Uro...
Looks like Uro may be alive. So Zan's tapping for that.
Yep. And because the Reclamation is in play, he's going to still have Frilled Mystic up for the Ember Cleave, which is usually the way that the red deck gets to punish.
Yeah, that's the real risk this turn, right?
Well, but because of the Reclamation, the risk is extremely low.
Right.
And he gets to go up to 11 here, facing 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, effectively 10 power, including the Scorch Spinner. Uro gets to block the Bone Crusher Giant.
Right.
And not a lot that Matthias can do to keep the Uro from getting a good block in here.
Right. Yep. And so, for once, actually, he corrected a situation where Frilled Mystic would be good, which is it's hard to do. Zan is sort of choked on 4 mana spells, and when he gets to ramp them out a little faster, he has a much better chance. But these Thassa's interventions don't normally look great. But right now his hand is basically 4 drops.
Right. And we've seen that.
But he ironically has 9 mana. So.
And we've seen the what? This is not the right deck. What is happening? Sorry, I'm trying to import the deck for... Oh my god. I'm trying to import the deck into Cardboard Live for Matthias, and I'm having some trouble here.
Alright, so we see Matthias try a second Annex, which gets Frilled Mystic. And Zan still has Thassa's Intervention available to him.
There we go.
All right, so we have a Scorch Spitter. Yeah. So how can Zan? What can happen to Zan?
Well, so
to lose this game.
What's happening here is Zan is going to need to attack with this Uro, and that does not actually do a lot except gain him the 3 life, draw him the card.
Right.
The damage is not super relevant, and it is going to remove a blocker for Zan. But if Zan doesn't start doing something, then
it's not getting gone really wide, right? Now we have this issue,
right? But this Nightpack Ambusher kind of subs in place as the blocker, and Zan has Ember Cleave covered. There's really nothing left that Matthias can do that's powerful enough to change this game.
And this expansion he's leaving on top should probably be lethal, given that Zan has 9 lands and a bunch of pretty strong attackers. Satyrs notably can't block.
Right. So Zan's going to attack with this Uro, I believe. And Matthias is likely to just let it through. Yeah. And then that's going to give Zan lethal on his turn. Matthias can't just throw away a creature because Zan is likely to have explosion. Matthias needs every single resource he can to try to deal damage to Zan this turn. It's just not going to be enough given Frilled Mystic in Zan's hand.
Right. And again, this is where Zan being on the play probably mattered quite a bit. And then Zan does get to improve his deck quite a bit with the sideboard. He gets to replace some of the things he sort of took out to weaken this matchup.
His sideboard is heavily tilted towards this matchup because he knows the game 1 isn't good. To be able to steal game 1 by being on the play, that's just huge for him. And so double counterspell here.
Replace one Frilled Mystic with another one.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, and that's enough for Matthias. So he saw the writing on the wall, didn't even see the explosion. And so, yeah, so I imagine Zan's going to bring in at least all of the red cards in his sideboard.
Well, not the Ember's Shield Breakers.
Oh, you don't think the breakers for Embercleave?
I don't believe that's how Zan wants to fight Embercleave.
Okay.
It's the combat step when Embercleave happens in this type of matchup is usually when the Embercleave kills you.
And we can see him cutting a lot of the higher end, the sort of finishers and top end of his deck.
And this is similar to how he sideboarded against Rakdos, and I think he may have gone a little overboard in that particular matchup, but this is the matchup where Thranati Singer is actually going to...
Oh, right. I forgot. This we talked about this earlier. Yeah, finally, we're going to see it.
Zan played super tight there. This match is all about walking the tightrope. It really is. You are just like using your life total as a resource and making sure that you don't give them an opening to let Embercleave do 8 or 12 damage or whatever.
And so do you still like the Frilled Mystics and Intervention?
I think that some amount of them are probably necessary. I would prefer to trim some Mystics.
Notice he's also trimming a castle.
Well, so you take... I think we're taking out a land because the curve of the deck is going so much lower. There's 27 lands in the main deck, so cutting one when you slim down a little bit makes a lot of sense, especially on the draw. When you take out a land, you are actually more likely to make each individual land drop when you're on the draw than if you are +1 land and you're on the play.
Right. We see some comments about the explosions coming out.
Cutting expansion seems overboard. It can be very good. I mean, so here's one thing though. Expansion, the expansion half of the card used to be significantly better against the red aggro decks because there was something to copy.
Right.
If they're going to lava strike you to the face or whatever, then you can turn that around and kill their runaway Steamkin. That doesn't really happen because their deck is all creatures now. So you're leaning on just the explosion side of the card.
Right.
Yeah, explosion for small amounts on small things, but that mana exchange
that's still
is not
a 6 mana spell, isn't it?
Yeah. It can be okay, but Zan's sideboard is so tilted towards this matchup that I think he's thinking that he's got just better.
Oh, I like Zan with the turn 1 shock. Hold up Special Sailor. I mean, it's the same amount of damage, right? In theory.
Yep.
Yeah. And so this champion's still good.
I mean, I believe he's absolutely going to trade the Special Sailor for the Squirt Spitter here.
Also, I'm very excited about this Singer literally being here to take out Fervent Champion. Like, its whole job.
Take out Fervent Champion, chump block something else.
Yeah, maybe gain a life.
Yep.
Well, I mean, he can block the Fervent Champion, just like negate something else for a turn.
Sure.
Unfortunately, Zan has to shock twice. Now, that is not as great.
No, it's not ideal.
Yeah.
He is taking damage, but again, like, a lot of times these games don't really play out as these, like, individual points of damage because he's Matthias is never going to aim 5 or 7 points of burn at Zan's head.
Right. And so Archon TV says they're curious to see how good the Singer ends up being here. So as much as I've been making fun of this card, it's actually looks pretty good here.
Yeah, no, this is the matchup where it's fine.
This is exactly where you want it. Yeah. I mean, I could see it in a mono white. I don't think we saw it. We even had that deck registered today.
Probably. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That didn't show up in the breakdown at all.
Yeah. And it is a 1/3. So even if this eats another removal spell, this will be great for Zan. He just wants to run his opponent out of cards, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. And keeping creatures off the board. Yeah. Like this.
Well,
there might be a. Okay. Yeah, that didn't quite work out. Maybe Matthias was just doing that because he didn't have anything to spend that 1 mana on anyways, and was just. But if there were another play, but like, look at the Singer is great here.
Right,
killed that champion
actively good,
and is ready to trade for this Rimrock.
Holding back, just the clean 2-for-1.
Yeah, there's just nothing that accomplishes that with.
Well, I mean, and if suppose he brought in Scorching Dragonfire for some reason and decides to use it on the Singer, okay, that's great. You're still down, 2 cards. Torbrand's pretty good.
Torbrand is pretty good, but it doesn't really do anything here.
Right.
Torbrand
Still doesn't
asks
do anything
for you to have some resources in play. Having this turning this Rimrock Knight from a 3/1 into a 5/1 against a blocker with 1 power.
Right.
That's not the same as if you have a Fervent Champion and a Squirt Spitter in play.
Right. Yeah, unfortunately, Zan really needs to hit his land drop next turn.
Player 2.
Oh, and so we see Zan even casting the Brazen Board because he doesn't have anything else to use his mana on. So sort of slow down his opponent. Oh, this Flame Sweep actually could be good, but isn't doing a lot right now.
It's not doing a ton right now.
I was hoping we'd see the attack.
That's a little bold.
Or a little aggressive.
Zan badly wants to trade this for the 3-1.
Zan did miss a land drop. And so, yeah, I think Zan is going to easily trade this away.
Yes.
I mean, this Singer has gained 4 life.
Embercleave, and then that lets this be a pretty solid tempo blowout. Zan's just trying to decide whether to use Bone Crusher or Flame Sweep here, or to counter the Embercleave. There's a lot of options here.
Yep, so he's going to go ahead and sweep.
I dealt 8 to one of my opponents with 4 stomps. Yes, it technically can happen, but it's not the same as when there's a deck with 12 burn spells in it.
Right. Yeah. This is an ill-advised attack.
It's just because the Torbrand is so likely to come down this turn, and there's only really 2 haste guys in the deck.
Right, but I mean, those points
one
will
damage
matter.
means nothing.
Right. Yeah, for Zan, if you mean for Zan, yeah.
Right. All right, and so this is a little rough because Zan can't Thassa's Intervention for enough here. And this 4-3 Bone Crusher Giant is pretty sizable.
But he will get the Growth Spiral here.
We Growth Spiral. Zan badly needs to hit a land.
And this is the situation Lee was talking about with this mountain's really costing us. So Zan is going to probably hope for a land on top.
There's a Scorching Dragonfire. Not bad,
it's very
but not good enough.
Yep.
Zan has plenty of spells to deal with this stuff. He just needs time to cast them. It looks like Matthias is doing his best to play around this soft Thassa's Intervention. This is going to be a lot of damage.
Does Matthias actually have 12 haste creatures in their deck?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, because I think they had Robbers.
Yeah, so Robber the Rich, Fervent Champion. There's only 2 Tin Street Doggers, so we're not going to like.
Importantly, a rogue.
Okay, it is a rogue.
The only other rogue.
All right, so stomp on the Tin Street Dodger.
Does Zan have to gain 3 life here?
Looks like he's going to take the 10. And another Temple. That hurts. Zan can cast Nightpack Ambusher here. There's just no way to stop
10 trample damage coming in.
Bone Crusher Giant.
Yeah, now it's much more than that. Right,
yeah.
So unfortunately this one, maybe a stumble a little bit. Again, ended the game with lots of 4s in hand.
Right, and we had a good start, and all Zan really needed to do was hit his mana after that, and that just didn't happen, and the red deck was able to.
And the land comes right back in. I wonder, it looks like he's cutting a temple, a slower land.
And he is being on the play.
Right.
He is on the play for this game, so the extra land is like... Okay, so taking out a comes into play top land. He doesn't want to get punished the way that he did.
Just less than 30 seconds ago. This is also the first time, I know you guys saw him play against Rakdos, and I saw a little bit of it, but it is also the first time that Zan hasn't brought a Mystical Dispute.
Yes. Mystical Dispute, one of the premier cards of this
such a good
format.
card.
By the way, to everybody, I have updated the cardboard live, so both deck lists should be up there now. Is top 8 3 best of 3? Oh yeah, this is just a regular top 8.
It's just a regular top 8.
Matches.
Yeah, just matches.
This is a 1K.
This is for Zan's tournament life. But as we all decided unanimously, we're all rooting against Zan this time.
Well, yeah, Matthias.
Right, Matthias has generously decided to donate all of his winnings.
Oh, this is a no blue mana hand. This is double Stomping Ground. There's the Bone Crusher Giant. I don't think that this is a keep.
Well, and then, how good are the ambushers in this matchup? I mean, they're good.
They're good.
But you don't want 2 of them in your opening hand.
No, and especially not with just 2 lands in the hand, so you're pretty far off of casting them.
I'd be surprised if Zan keeps his hand, but...
Zan does like to keep the borderline ones.
Yeah, and he hates mulliganing more than most. We'll see. He's thinking about it. I might walk over and tell him that, hey, win or lose, a lot of money's going to charities.
But Zan just always wants to win really badly.
He is. You can see him mousing over the Nightpack ambushes. He's thinking about it.
Yeah. Deceptive Moth, thank you. We really, really appreciate you watching. Kept. Zan did keep. Okay, well, we'll see if this gets there. I mean, 1 land, and then he gets to run the Stomp in to cast the Bone Crusher Giant. All right, here's a Scorch Spitter.
So a double one drop.
God,
hand,
another stomping
I was
ground.
hoping for the mountain. I was gonna...
But that gets us to the Bone Crusher Giant. That gets us halfway to the Night Pack Ambusher.
Let's see if
from
he
where we were.
casts it before. He needs to cast it before combat. Yeah, just save a 1 point.
Yeah.
Otherwise, so taking one for no reason.
And so pretty clear that Matthias does not have Robber of the Rich here. So, but this is what.
Good.
That's why I think maybe you're actually supposed to take that damage there. This Runaway Steamkin is just representing the potential to cast a lot of free spells.
Right. Notably, though, this deck, oh wow, this has a lot higher percentage. But I mean, this deck without Light Up the Stage, something we saw literally a year ago, it makes it a little tougher. But no, it is really scary. I mean, now Flame Sweep is sort of out of range, right? Like Zan is like Flame Sweep now or
Flame
never.
Sweep is still pretty good here.
It is good. It's still a 2-for-1, but I mean, this is
Zan's going to take this trade immediately.
Right, yeah. Because now Flame Sweep is just super alive. Oh, okay. I saw a red spell.
Still very good.
Still good. I saw a red spell, then I got really excited.
Yeah. Zan drawing the third Night Pack Ambusher, probably the worst draw in the deck.
I think so. We took out explosions, right? Because that would also be pretty bad.
Right.
All right, yeah, Champion is not great. I was worried about the...
Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot to deal with after spending the Dragonfire, and I don't think that the Ambushers are gonna get Zan into this game. Ambusher's going to be his play this turn because it's just 2 mana inefficient to Gust, and all that's really doing is fogging a little bit, but not a lot.
Yeah, I'm thinking he's going to want to trade with the Annex, and then he is now more than ever Flame Sweep or bust.
I think he's going to take the damage off of the Annex and the Fervent Champion, and he's going to block the Scorch Spitter here.
Okay, let's see.
Because getting the Ambusher in play and then making the Wolf is really the goal here. Clog up the board and then untap with Ether Gust covering the Wolf. Okay, so he's not.
Fortunately for that, there's no Embercleave.
Okay, so he chose not to block there because of the possibility of Embercleave. Okay, so he is gusting because the Matthias committed to that castle here, and so preventing that damage actually is more than just a little bit of a fog. It's like costing Matthias a lot of damage.
Yeah, so now Matthias played out his last card, and now these ambushes are a lot more, all of a sudden a lot scarier.
Yep, and now Zan knows that Matthias doesn't have that Embercleave in hand, so he can safely block with a Night Pack.
I'm actually surprised he played the land.
Yeah, I mean, probably at least put the fear into Zan, hold the land, cast the... but see, the thing is you also want to cast the Annex pre-combat so that you get the 1/1 here.
Right.
So there's not a great solution. That Brazen Borrower is a very good draw.
Yeah, let's Zan stay on plan.
Yeah.
He still needs to fade a little bit.
And he may just cast the second Ambusher this turn. That Torbrand means that this Brazen Borrower was a very necessary draw.
Yes.
We can't let this combat happen with a Torbrand in play. I don't think.
Yeah, now these attacks aren't great.
Right.
Because Zan just gets to eat Annex.
Right. And he only gets...
Or not eat, but trade.
Well, he gets to eat it with the Wolf,
yeah,
and
because
then
of the devotion. Yeah.
There's only one Satyr that comes out of the Annex.
Yeah, this is...
Lovely background music.
Oh, yeah.
What is Zan... I'm gonna have a talk with Zan about what his sound settings are. Who is whistling?
I assume Zan was getting in the zone with the Spotify.
Yeah, that must be what's happening.
Are we attacking?
Looks like Zan is attacking because he can deal lethal on his turn. Yeah, he gets this blocker here. He has another blocker.
He gets a double spell as well.
Yeah, so he has 2 blockers, and this is pretty much Zan wrapping up this game with the power of Night Pack Ambusher.
Ooh, this was a close one.
This was a close one.
Zan really likes, making us, sort of sweat a little bit.
I don't know what Zan is doing now.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Probably adjusting his playlist.
There's that Torbrand, but none of the attackers are getting through. And so it's going to be trade a wolf for the satyr, block the fervent champion, or not even trade a wolf for the satyr. The wolf gets 4 toughness. The fervent champion or the Nightpack Ambusher is a 5/5 and will be able to block the fervent champion. Oh, someone's mic was on in the chat here. Okay. That's something we have to make sure. I had tried to ask them to set the permissions for the chat to not allow to default to everybody being muted for.
This is a lot of wolves.
Yep, and Matthias chose not to attack there, given how hard Zan was representing having additional Nightpack Ambushers in hand. Zan gets to attack here because he gets 2 more wolves this turn.
Right.
And has another one in his hand. So once again, we have 5 blockers to these 4 attackers. Not really a good way for Matthias to get damaged through. If he swings with everything here, Zan's not going to play the Ambusher. He's going to continue to hold up counter magic for the Ember Cleave.
If he is going to block everything.
This top 8, I think, is timed just because it's arena. So, we're just kind of using the timer.
Right. Yeah, Tater Tot, you were correct. We don't really have a choice in online. Well, Zan, you're a monster for beating a charity.
That's all right. We still, I think that's still an extra $100 to the charity.
Right, so. Absolutely, yeah. Which again, Matthias, thank you so much. That's extremely generous.